afternoon, everyone. Here we are in name of the Tiempo de Derechos and the General Director, Dr. Rafael Estrada Mitchell, in a really pleasant occasion since we are here in Washington, D.C., thanks to the invitation and efforts of James Kelly, former Director of Foreign Affairs of the Federal Society and long-time founder of the International Law and Liberty Society. And well, here we are to celebrate 20 years of hard work, of putting people together from all around the world and making an amazing network of international lawyers that have and believe in the importance of defending the division of power, individual freedom, human rights, and the protection of the Constitution above all. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much, Cesar.
Here we are also, we are happy to have here Carla Roel de Hoffman, Vice President of the Mexican Law and Liberty Society, and also Dr. Juan Carlos Cruz Razo, founder of Mexican Law and Liberty Society. So to start, Jim, tell us, what brings you to this idea of creating an international network of lawyers?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for hosting me and two of our judicial delegates in Mexico City a month ago. It was a delightful time, and we're so excited to have a new addition to our International Law and Liberty Society consisting of the Mexico Law and Liberty Society. It's really a bittersweet moment for me as I transition away from a formal role with the Federal Society, and yet at the same time I'm seeing a flourishing of all these young groups across the world. But to be transitioning to a new role at a time when the Mexico Law and Liberty Society comes along, it's a great thing that it's created, but I'm a little sad that I may not be as playing as prominent a role in it moving forward. But I do look forward to coming back to Mexico City and to visiting with you and your colleagues from time to time. So thank you so much for your hospitality. So in 2006, the Federalist Society and I discussed situations globally that were happening in the way of international organizations perhaps playing too robust a role in the governance of affairs that sort of undermined the role of national sovereignty and of democracies doing their thing within their own countries. And so the Federal Society appointed me as its representative to the UNESCO National Commission here in the United States, and the State Department made me the chairman of the Social and Human Sciences Committee, which is where all of the human rights discussions, education discussions take place. And so for a number of years, I was involved in different international human rights conferences, and I learned much more about this development towards global governance. And so we started this international outreach, and it first started with judges, constitutional court judges, primarily from Europe. And then we had the good fortune in 2014 to meet some young lawyers in London and Paris who were just graduating from law school. And we thought this is a wonderful opportunity to develop the same model of debate, discussion, education that the Federalist Society had been fostering in law schools throughout America since 1982. And so it was an idea that the board of the Federalist Society embraced. And so with those two circles, we call them Law and Liberty Circles, we decided to start being more proactive in terms of these organizations. And so since 2014, we started with 2, and now we have 20. I'm happy to announce that the Slovakia Law and Liberty Society was created last night.
Wow.
We did not have an opportunity to go there. We had a representative there. And so that's our 20th edition. And it has been just a delight, and it's been a real blessing to have these groups so energized and existing.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned the worry, the concerns about how international institutions are having an impact on national policies. Do you think that is the biggest threat we can face internationally right now?
Well, there's so many threats in terms of actual war and violence. It's very hard to talk about the threat of soft law norms and human rights governance when there's so many much more serious military engagements and national security debates taking place. But we cannot lose sight of the fact that coincident with those hard law, military, national security concerns, there's also the concern that international organizations can play too large a role in the democratic process of countries. And so it's a concern. I don't know that it's a threat. I think it really exists. There are civil society organizations that are engaged with large organizations like the United Nations, and for good intentions, they started addressing things like sustainable development, environmental concerns, just human rights abuses. And so you start off with very good intentions, and then, like any government or administrative program, it grows and power continues to accumulate. And a lot of countries just have no defense, no ability to be able to point to its citizenship and say, we need to be careful about these well-intentioned international organizations. People are so hard making a living, they're working hard, and to talk to them about this globalization and this governance from above, they just don't see it in their everyday lives, but it affects education, it affects economics, it affects how a country's going to be spending its budget. And so these organizations are very good at what they do, they're very effective, but there always needs to be, with any good debate, people from both sides saying, we want global governance, we want national sovereignty. And so the Law and Liberty Societies are designed to make it a fair debate. And that's how we perceive the role of these groups. They are autonomous groups, as you well know. You're a separate legal entity. You're in cooperation with the Federalist Society, but you are, carving out your own path with your own very esteemed board and some very eminent jurists and lawyers that I met in Mexico City. So it's important to have debates and dialogue and to see the challenges and also to meet them with facts and with debate.
Where's your biggest accomplishment?
My
to
biggest
date?
accomplishment
Yes.
For this group?
For this
here?
group, yes.
Yes.
For 20 years.
Yeah,
you've
well,
been heading-
it's remarkable that the first of all, we did not go out searching for groups, okay? And it's I called it a blessing earlier. I mean, God put so many people together that no person could take credit for having accomplished this. We have had people come to us, either phoning us. We have had people referred to us. In only 2 out of 20 cases did we actually go, we need a Law and Liberty Circle in Croatia. And so we approached them, So the greatest accomplishment is just the miracle that we've been able to get such competent, compassionate, diligent people who see and share our first principles and also our desire to promote those first principles. The greatest accomplishment is really one that is by divine intervention, not by any human action. Unless people are inspired by principles and inspired by their own faith and their personal character to do something to promote those principles, then nothing will happen. So it's a phenomenal project, Carla. I mean, it's just when you think about the global reach. We are in 20 countries. We're in Asia. We're in Australia. We're in Latin America. We're in North America. We're in Europe. And when I look at the groups, I don't see any weak link. I don't see any Achilles heel, as we say. They're all very strong groups. You've known them. You were meeting with them here in Washington D.C. at our National Lawyers Convention. So it's a great accomplishment, and it's a historical accomplishment. We're living in an age of globalization. We always hear that, and yet to actually witness the emergence of a global network that is autonomous and yet in solidarity. So it's the principles of solidarity in spirit and collegiality, but subsidiarity in terms of each national group going its own way, knowing those principles, and yet doing them in the local context. So that's the greatest accomplishment in 20 years. The Federalist Society has been very supportive. It's their initiative, and I'm just glad that I've been had free reign. That the Federalist Society is very bold to trust me as a person out there without a lot of direction. They provided me with some deputies, good deputies along the way. But what we achieved is really remarkable and sustainable. I think that with the people we have in place in these 20 different countries, I just wish I could live a longer life. I'm almost 70. I wish I was 50. Then I get to see 30 years of the progress. Yeah, but I am happy to know that our legacy, all of our legacies, will be that these groups will be along maybe for as long as the Federalist Society, since 1982, so maybe 50 years. I wish I could come back. I'll still be with you in spirit, hopefully. And but thank you. It's been a good run.
Well, 70 years is very young. You know, in Mexico, people live more than 100, so I'm sure you have 30 more years.
I should move to Mexico. No, so hopefully I still have a lot of time left.
And you, when you were talking about the accomplishment, for sure the creation of this network, it is a big one. From just the creation of the idea, the marvelous execution, because it's, as somebody was mentioning in an earlier breakfast, having together all these people, put them together, organize these efforts, it requires a lot of logistics, it requires a lot of administrative work. But also you mentioned something that I would like to go deeper on, values and principles, because you just did the framework, you also gave us content, and you also have this list of principles that are the guidance or the core of the International Law and Liberty Society. Would you like to go deeper in that?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because in my pocket I actually have what we came up with. So each time a group of judges or lawyers or law students wants to form one of our law and liberty circles, all they have to do is assign a statement of mission and principles. And we have no contract, we have no rules, regulations, we the Federalist Society or the International Law and Liberty Society. And so this statement of mission principles talks about things like, we all agree to promote the rule of law, fundamental freedoms, judicial independence. And so on the back of these are 10 principles relating to the development of an International Law and Liberty Society, Law and Liberty Circle. And it says to educate, to anticipate, to narrate, populate, elevate, cooperate, communicate, celebrate, evaluate, innovate. And we produce these cards just as last night at our convention, Justice Kavanaugh pulled out his pocket constitution that he carries with him everywhere, Brett Kavanaugh in U.S. Supreme Court, and it was tattered and a little torn in places because he's constantly, when he's deciding cases, and he's looking at his constitution, and so I think it's very important to manifest your ideas in a way that people can refer back to them. So we're celebrating next year the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and some of you on Zoom calls, you've seen in my office, I have a copy of the Declaration of Independence, not an original copy, I wish, and also our Constitution. And so there are these documents, these principles that, you can go to our National Archives and see original copies of these documents. So with this right here, everybody in the International Law and Liberty Society has a copy of this. They probably don't carry it around in their coat pocket, but I think that it's always good to be able to refer back to first principles. And that's what the Federalist Society's been doing since 1982. The Federalist Papers, written by James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, and a few by John Jay. That was a roadmap. So that's a little more of a catechism, right? It's a little more of a substantive body of analysis of the Constitution. So that's the next layer down. But I believe you've got to keep those first principles at a surface level where everybody sort of understands what they're working from. And I think when you go around to all of our law and liberty circle groups, they will all be in accord that this is what we stand for. And that, I think, builds that solidarity to which I referred earlier.
Yeah. Jim, how does the international law and liberty society contribute to the judicial independence?
So it's a good question, Juan Carlos, because judicial independence has been important to our international outreach for many years, and it really became a priority before the lawyer and law student outreach. In beginning 2010, we were reaching out to constitutional court judges and members of the European Court of Human Rights to sort of let them know about the availability of free and fair debate over these first principles, because it was important not to slide into judicial activism. The idea that judges should be making rules, right? Writing legislation through their court opinions. This is something that is very serious and undermines, the three branches of government here in the United States if the judicial branch plays too large a role. So the judicial independence has always been one of the primary things that the Federal Society is concerned about. Because if you politicize the judiciary, then people have no anchor in terms of what are the rules of the road, what is the rule of law. Well, if the rule of law is constantly being changed for political reasons, rather than being rooted in something that's eternal and original, then you are in real trouble in a democracy. And I think that this is probably one of the greatest threats that so many of the countries in which we have law and liberty society circles is facing. Because, whether, and I won't name countries because I don't want to get specific, everybody knows, whether their country's facing a judicial activism or lack of independence problem. But it does seem that, many judiciaries now are facing a temptation to become politicized and to take the role of lawmakers. In the United States, sometimes it seems the U.S. Congress, it's so difficult to get any legislation passed. And yet there are important things that need to get passed and get done that it's very easy for a judge to say, well, they're never going to get it done, so we might as well get it done because the people really need this, this, and this. So the Law and Liberty Society, I think just by having great discussions like we had in Mexico City at your lovely museum, I think that we had 2 federal judges from the U.S., so our Law and Liberty Society is having a dialogue in Mexico over the common problem, concern about judicial activism. So that's how our Law and Liberty Society goes about it. We've had Justice Thomas, Justice Roberts, Justice Alito, Justice Gorsuch, Justice Kavanaugh have all gone abroad to speak to our Law and Liberty Circle or international delegates. And so I think our society is doing a lot to advance the idea of judicial independence and the non-politicization of the judiciary.
And it's really amazing, this kind of forums where we can see people from different parts of the world, because we also learn from different perspectives. Because for sure, it can be a problem when the judge, when the judicial branch is politicized, but also that speech in a different context can be used to undermine the power of the judiciary when they are trying to protect the Constitution. So it happened to us when we were listening earlier the Canadian experience. The first thing I thought is, God, I hope we had the Canadian problems, because we really in Mexico are now more in a survival mode. But then I thought, where problems started like that too. So it's marvelous that they are taking care of this before it goes further. And I think that's really valuable that you provide these spaces where we can learn from each other's experiences, because in this sense of the judiciary, we also can say, this is it's right to stop the overpower in the terms of the judges, but also we need to have a balance to take care of the judges when they are trying to do their best, that is protect the Constitution, as it was the case in Mexico.
I think that's absolutely essential. The more I've been involved in this, the more I feel very strongly that unless you have an independent judiciary, the democratic experiment is in serious trouble. You mentioned the Canada experience, and we had a speaker, Christine Van Geyen, and she spoke to the issue of safetyism, right?
Yes.
Safetyism, how courts and judges and governments will use the excuse that we are imposing these additional regulations because we are concerned about the safety of the people. We will take care of the people. So this whole idea of judicial overreach does relate to a paternal nanny state that sometimes thinks it can take a lot of power for the good of the people. But it's so nice for you all to be involved and to have me talking about it and to work with our organization. So I really appreciate everything that you're doing.
We appreciate you.
And what comes next? Because what are you going to focus now that you have a little bit more of time? You have this amazing project of watching the international institutions. Are you going to go deeper on that, or what is coming for you now?
I think I've had enough of watching international institutions. So now I think that my wife and my son-in-law, they operate a very large scholarship program in the United States in my home state of Georgia. I'm the attorney for that scholarship program. It offers thousands of scholarships to students every year. It's a tax credit scholarship program, school choice. That's an issue that really is near and dear to my heart. So as their work has expanded, that they're asking me to do a little bit more, which I welcome the opportunity. So I will work on that, but I will not be a stranger to Mexico City. I'm going to continue as permitted and possible to visit all of the countries where we have law and liberty circles and societies. So you won't lose me that easily. I'm going to be around as long as God's willing and my health permits, and my ideas still matter to you. So I look forward to that.
We look forward to, because for sure we will benefit even more having you more closely in Mexico.
Thank you.
And well, we just want to say thank you and congratulations for this marvelous work you have done, for this legacy that you are leaving here in the International Law and Liberty Society, for letting us be part of this dream that you once imagined and that now is really material. We will try to keep our work to be true to the values that you created, that we will make them our guidance for sure, and we will continue your work.
Well, thank you very much, and I've said it before and I'll say it publicly again. The Mexico Law and Liberty Society Board is the most esteemed, experienced board of great jurists and lawyers that we've assembled in any of our groups. So I'm confident that your group in particular will continue this legacy and build upon it. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was nice to see you.